says we on air.
It's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. So first we'll have a student-led invocation by Braylon Gardner.
May you bow your head, please?
Thank you for the schools, the teachers, and the students. Please keep us safe and help us have a great school year. Let the light shine through us in all that we do. Amen.
Amen.
Stand, pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the affirmation of the agenda. You all have it in front of you. If there's any correction, if there's no corrections or changes, I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda. So.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes. So the next is approval of the minutes. You also had these emailed to you and have them in front of you from the last meeting, July 9th, 2024. If there's any corrections or amendments to that, be happy to make them. Otherwise, we'll look for a motion to approve them.
Motion to approve is printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. So the next was board comments. Is there any comments from the board? Any particular issues? Or I think we're all been hearing good things about the start of the school. At least, things seem to be going well. And thank you for all the principals and teachers, and everybody seems to be going well. So, it seems to be, that's great. All right, so public comments. We didn't have anyone sign up for public comments. So next we'll go to the superintendent's report, Dr. Beth Taylor.
Thank you, Dr. Green. I'd like to say the same, that we had a great opening of school. I thank you for all your hard work and very flexible and supporting each other. So thank you for all you do for our district. I appreciate that. We have in your packet field trips, professional leave request, and fundraiser request, and there is one overnight trip request from Future Farmers of America, and that is Henderson Road going to Indianapolis, and that is in October, so we would like approval for that trip.
Entertain a motion to.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Also, the parenting report is in your packet, if you have any questions or concerns about that. All right. I wanted to let you know about the Boys and Girls Club and our after-school program. They are on our our elementary and primary campuses. We have 17 students from a primary school participating, 13 from the elementary school, and then we have 2 6th graders from the middle school that are going to the elementary school. And it is a program that lasts till 6:30 every day, and they receive a snack and lunch and activities and homework help. So we are thankful that number is growing. So that's a total of 32, but that number is growing, and we're very excited to offer that to our community. Do y'all have any questions about that, concerns? All right, I did want to let you know that I spoke to Mr. Alex Sherrod, our attorney, and he will come to the September meeting, plans to attend the September meeting, and we'll talk about the election process, any changes for that, possibly moving to November, our elections. But he will be available then in September to meet with us. All right, any other questions for me at this time? Thank you.
Next on the agenda is finance, Mr. Andrew Mackey.
Good evening, everyone. I'll start with our monthly financial update as of July 31st. Our revenue is about $475,000. If you look at your 5-year comparison, that's a little bit less than where we typically through July, but the current numbers don't include our July tax reports from the county, which are typically in July around $100,000 or so dollars. So once we get those included, we're pretty much right in line where we typically are at this point. Our expenditures are about $395,000. Those are obviously up if you look at the 5-year comparison, but you know, we're paying everybody a little bit more money. We've got summer school payment that went out in July. And then there's just some timing differences between, you know, when we get our first insurance bill and all of that. So there's nothing to be alarmed about those numbers being elevated from prior years. You know, it's been a pretty smooth month of July. As Dr. Green mentioned, we got school going. There's always a rush of purchases right at the beginning of the year to get everything we need. But there's really nothing unusual or unexpected to this point in July. Circling back to the prior fiscal year, you know, we're not finished closing everything out yet. Usually takes you're supposed to leave things open for at least 60 days to capture everything you need to capture. So we're nearing the end of that to where we can fully close out the fiscal year 2024. We will add to our fund balance, as I mentioned, our general fund balance. But I did have a thought when I was doing some of the closeout. You know, last year around this time when we were passing the budget for the old high school, we moved $4.5 million out of our general fund budget or fund balance into our capital projects fund balance. That will show as a current transfer on our audit report out of our general fund. You'll see 4.5 negative going out. So I just wanted to clarify, when we get our audit report, we're going to have a giant negative net change in fund balance on our general fund. But it's going to be less than the 4.5 that we moved out. So we are adding to it, but I just wanted to clarify, in a few months when we get that audit report, don't be alarmed if it's like negative $3 million or something like that. Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. So I just was thinking about that. I was like, man, I should mention that so we don't have sticker shock whenever the auditors are standing up here. But otherwise, that's all I've got for our monthly financial update. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys might have. And if there are none, I will move on to capital projects. All right. Capital projects update. So I'm sure you all know we have started moving into the, I keep calling it the old high school. I'll use the new name, the multiplex. We had our initial final inspection with OSF on July 30th, and it went very well. We got our conditional certificate of occupancy, and then we were able to start moving in August 1st after that. So the football team got in there, the band got in there, started using it. Part of the conditional certificate of occupancy, we had to have a re-inspection on buildings 100, the big part with the gyms, and then building 300, which is the office spaces off to the right. A re-inspection on that by August 9th. We had that re-inspection last week and cleared all the small outstanding items. And then building 200, the maintenance shop in the back, that re-inspection has to be done before August 16th. So once we get past this week, that conditional CO, certificate of occupancy, will be the official certificate of occupancy with the State Department. Now, Hood Construction still has some punch list items to do after that, just very minor things that don't impact the use of the building or the safety of the building, just, you know, making sure doors close flush and I don't know, paint on the wall, touch up paint, stuff like that. So they've got a few more weeks of punch list items after that before they abandon us completely. But yeah, and then we've got, as people use the building, they think of things that they might need or want still. So it's still a work in progress, but you know, we are using the building. It's, you know, people are really excited about it to this point. The expanded parking lot at the middle school, high school, that was finished. we gave them a deadline of being done before school started, and they were done probably 2 or 3 days before school started. So that went well. People, I assume, are happy with the extra parking spaces. I'm sure the SROs appreciate not having people parked all along the curb. It's just much smoother operations with those added spots. And then just the next thing on our list that Officer Boudreaux and I are working on are meeting with different companies to provide quotes for access control locks, primarily at the primary school, but also at the elementary school, if we can squeeze it into the budget that we have with the safety grant that MAC was able to get for us. So that's what we're working on now. And then, once we get that rolling, we'll move on down to the next project. Are there any questions on capital projects?
Are there supposed to have letters on the actual gyms?
Those are coming, yeah.
Okay.
We'll get some signs on the Browning gym facing Johnson Road, and then I think there's also another one above the lobby at the old carpet gym. So we are getting some signage. That is one of the items that they still need to finish.
About
Go
how,
ahead.
about how much do we have left in the capital improvement fund? I know we moved it to the general fund.
Yeah, so we had about $1 million. We moved about 4.5, and then we're tracking to spend about 3.7 to finish the old high school project. So it's about $2 million. Once we finish the old high school project, where it's over $2 million, I can send you. I have a spreadsheet where I've got the exact number, and then sort of my plan once we get the final numbers from the auditor, what we're adding back into the general fund balance. My thinking is we could move some of that back into capital projects as well, just to give us, more wiggle room and more ability to do some projects. But that'll be a couple months from now once we get some final numbers. And then we still have a little bit we can, a little bit of room in our bond limit, about $200,000, so we could issue short-term 1-year bonds to free up that $200,000, give or take, to do more capital projects as well. So it's a little bit tighter than we've been before we started the old high school project, but we still have got some flexibility to where we'll be able to do some things in the district to make some improvements.
And back to the multiplex.
Yeah.
Who goes around and checks like the final list? Is that you?
That's a good question. Hood, yeah.
I mean, just some of the details that as you walk around, and then you'll see like the paint doesn't match, or obviously the letters are missing, or those kind of things.
Yeah, so we'll do a final walkthrough with Hood, and then as the guys are using it now, like David Vicker, our band director, has a running list. He updates pretty much every day of little minor things that he's got. I share that with Hood. I'm sure David Rourke will assist and walk around, make sure everything's working properly.
Just curious.
Yeah. And then, that Hood has said, even when they're fully out of here, they'll come back anytime and help us out. Probably not free of charge, but they'll help us out, fix anything that might need to be fixed. Now, if it's something they were negligent on or they're liable for, they'll fix it for sure. But they want to be a partner with us going forward. So it's been a good relationship with them for sure.
Since the majority of everything's done,
Yeah.
and we've had time to kind of look at it, versus inside, outside, and everything. What are some things that we want to add? And like, for example, that field, the field looks great, and I know we've discussed parking here and there about different things, but is there a plan for maybe putting some fencing around that soccer field or whatever it is?
Yeah, that's the
Just to keep
big
people off
thing.
of it.
Yeah, that's the big thing we're looking at now. BJ Wirtz, our athletic director, and some of the coaches have a really good plan and idea of sort of run fencing from that band corner of the building around the field, hook into the fencing back by the track with some gates for access, obviously, but sort of fence in the whole area almost and make it more secure. Hood Construction has a fence company coming out because the canopies outside the band room and the maintenance facility get fencing around those covered areas to keep it secure. And then they have to redo the fence that they tore down during construction.
Yeah.
So I'm going to piggyback on that fence company and get a quote for them for the additional fencing, and also call, there's a fence company out of Lawrence we've used before and been happy with. So the big thing is that fence. That's the next, that's the biggest thing that we're looking to add for sure.
I know black fencing probably costs a little bit more, but it'd probably look really good.
That's the plan, is to use the black fencing. And so the company in Lawrence is the one who did the black vinyl fencing at the elementary school.
Yeah.
And it's held up really well and looked good. So,
Well, I know we've, with me being on Booster Club too, we've had discussions about parking and things. And just some things that were brought up to me, like the handicap parking. Used to, we'd park behind the school, and that would be your handicap and your Booster Club parking. Now, everything's kind of going to be, we want as many people to park in the parking lot as possible. Just some things to consider, especially, well, not especially, but absolutely with our handicapped folks that come. Some folks may not be able to walk coming through the gate, walking on the hill in the grass. So I know that BJ had talked about, putting the gate up at the district office parking lot, and then having it basically just shut off where nobody can get back there except for the people that's supposed to be there. So just thinking, considering about handicapped folks coming in on walkers and wheelchairs and that kind of thing, just to keep that in mind, whatever decisions are made. So
yeah, we're planning on getting a golf cart, just like a standard 4-seater electrical golf cart.
okay,
Mainly for the handicap, just to have one of the volunteers, or I guess we might pay them, people who are working the game.
man, they ain't gonna pay no money. Come on, man.
Their job
Y'all
will
don't
be
pay. Y'all don't pay the clock keeper. We came.
their job will be to shuttle handicapped people from the parking area to the back gate that they're seating
Sounds
behind
good.
the press box. So that's the second, much smaller dollar item than a big fence, but it's definitely top of the list. All right. If there's no other questions, I'll move to the next item on my agenda. The administrative rule, really this is just our procurement policy. So some background on this: school districts that spend over $75 million in any fiscal year, that's across all general fund, federal dollars, state dollars, just flat. If you spend over $75 million, you're required to have a procurement audit by the State Department. And all that is the State Department has a list of items. You have to do this, 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 and this. You have to pay an external auditor to come in, make sure you meet all these checklist requirements and all that. And the issue was, up until 2021, all these districts that spent over $75 million all had different procurement policies. So there was a standardized list of things to be audited that didn't necessarily match up with everyone's procurement policy. So the State Department just said, okay, we're going to make a model procurement policy code. If you spend over this amount of dollars, you have to adopt this model code. We spend much less than $75 million. But we want to sort of adopt some of the items from the model code without adopting the model code. The model code is like 120 pages long. It's got a bunch of reporting requirements, inventory requirements. Just it's too much for a district our size to handle without hiring additional staff. So as much as we can mirror that model code while still making it fit our small district is our goal. So I've provided in the packet sort of a narrative of some of the updates to our policy that we're proposing, as well as a copy of the procurement policy with these changes included. So I'll try to go through these as quick as possible. The first thing we want to do is add a couple of methods of source selection, just bidding methods. One is the competitive fixed price bidding. This would be, let's say the district wanted to have like a bid for paper, where we just say, hey, our school district buys X amount of paper. We want to spend $4 per I don't know, box, whatever. We put it out for bid. If companies say, yeah, we can provide you this much paper for this price, we're going to do it. That's the fixed price. And then the other one is the best value bidding, which is similar to sort of our request for proposal we have now, where it's not necessarily based on dollar amount. It's more of we set criteria and we determine this is the best value for our district, not necessarily based on this is the best cost, but this is best for us. Those are the two different methods we'd like to add. We may never use them, but we can't use them now because they're not in our policy. So these could potentially be beneficial in the future, which is why we want to try to add them now. And then the next few things all deal with our dollar thresholds, which determine how we go about purchasing something. So right now our policy states that anything over $25,000, we have to do competitive sealed bidding. Which when this policy was originally written in like 1985, I believe was the original. That was probably a really good number, but things are a little more expensive now. So that $25,000 limit can be, it's not bad, it's just a little more inefficient because you post the bid, you have to give 3 to 4 weeks for people to see the bid, ask questions about it, prepare their bid. So it is a time-consuming process. So our proposal, the model code sets that bidding threshold at $100,000. We don't necessarily need it to be that high. So our proposal is just to move it from $25,000 to $50,000 as our bidding threshold. And then from there, some of our small purchase thresholds. Right now, anything between $2,500 and $10,000, we have to have 3 quotes. Our proposal is to move that lower end from $2,500 to $5,000. And then from $5,000 to $25,000 just require 3 quotes. Right now, anything over $10,000, we have to have 5 quotes, which is again, mainly just time consuming. Like when we did the floors in the kindergarten here, we had to have 5 quotes because they were all between $22,000 probably. All 5 quotes were within $1,000, but every company we called had to come out and measure the floors, all the rooms, so it's just time consuming to get all 5 of these companies to come out here, do all the measurements, and then be within $1,000 of each other. So we knew we were getting a good price after just 3 quotes, but we had to have 5. So $5,000 and $25,000, 3 quotes. And then between $25,000 and $50,000, we would have to post on the South Carolina Business Opportunities website. The model code states that anything over $25,000 has to be advertised on the Business Opportunities website. And then from there, we would still get quotes. Really, the only difference there is we have to advertise it on the website. And then anything over $50,000, we do the competitive sealed bidding. Am I losing anybody? Okay. And then there's another wrinkle in the model code for commercially available off-the-shelf products. This is like if we order anything off Amazon or Walmart. The pricing is the same whether Mac is ordering it by himself or the school district's ordering 150 of them, right? It's just commercially available. The price is set by the market. That threshold for getting quotes and bid, or for the competitive sealed bidding, is $100,000, just because it's commercially available, right? So we'd still get anything less than $100,000, but over $5,000, we're still getting 3 quotes. We're just not doing the competitive bidding process. And then that's the same thing for small construction. Raises that threshold to $100,000 also. And that's mainly because the size of the district doesn't impact construction costs, right? Materials are the same regardless of how much money we spend. And again, that just gives us a little more flexibility and makes it a little more efficient for us to do some of our capital projects. Like, for example, we are trying to replace one of our water heaters, or we did try. It was over $25,000. We bid it out, but it was such a small dot, no one bid on it because these companies, it's not worth their time to come here and install one boiler, whereas we could get a couple quotes on it from local companies and move on. So that offers us that flexibility. And then the last thing is this, a protest. Any bidder can protest an award or a solicitation for any reason they want to. Essentially, they have 15 days once we award a contract to then protest. And so I just pulled this straight from the model code. This says you have to tell us within 7 days if you are going to protest. It just sort of gives us a heads up that it's coming. So they still have to file the protest within 15 days. It's like a formal written process they have to submit to Dr. Taylor. But now, if we add this in there, they have to tell us within 7 days, hey, I'm going to protest this. That way we can start getting our ducks in the row for when they do file a protest. So those are the changes to the policy. This is an administrative rule, so it does not need to be voted on. Is that correct?
It does not, but we wanted to
Okay.
give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you have, or ask for clarification, to see if you were okay, even though it did not have to be voted on.
So they notify us in 7 days, but they still have 15 to
Yeah.
protest.
Because a lot of the times they consult with a lawyer, and I mean, it's like a legal process.
Does that happen a lot? I know, I think it's happened like once since.
It happened with the fence, and the guy was claiming that the vendor wasn't qualified, I believe, if I recall correctly. It doesn't happen a ton, but it does happen occasionally.
Yeah.
And, you know, if we require them to notify us within 7 days that, hey, I'm going to protest, now we can say, hey, don't do this work yet. Hold on. You know, it allows us to tell the vendor who we did award it to, hey, this is coming. It's going to delay the process. You know, it makes for better communication, honestly. And if the state's putting it in their model code, I think it'd be nice to add in ours, so we can see it coming too. But it's happened once in the 3 years or so I've done this.
Yeah,
so.
I remember it happened one time. I just can't remember what it was. Then you said fence, and we talked about it. So
Yeah,
good.
there you go.
I mean, that looks good. Thank you.
All right, great, thanks.
So next on the agenda is safety. Mr. McBoudreau.
Mine's gonna be a lot shorter. In your package, you should have the months of June and July, since it was the summer, combining the two. Primary 0, elementary 1, had a vehicle collision in the parking lot out there. I want to say that was the one that hit the awning and the car line. Edgewood 0, high school had 5, couple property checks, a fire alarm, and a vehicle collision, an information report. Alternative transportation, the baseball field at the high school had 0. The new multiplex had 3 property checks that were done by the police department, and the district office had 1 with an alarm, which gives you 10 for those months combined. Drills and training, schools did their fire drills, and we also did the state mandated CRACE training for the teachers and staff and non-certified staff for the middle school and high school on the 18th, which was one of their PD days. On the 24th, all district schools began the 24-25 school year, and all reports that everything went smoothly. On the 15th, CRACE training, 15th of this month, which is Thursday, CRACE training will be done for the elementary and primary school certified teachers, and will be conducted by Sergeant Deason and Corporal Wash at their respective schools. That's between they've done that between their principals, so they're aware of who needs to be there. And any makeups after that will come at a later date. July 30th, South Carolina Department of Education released the application for the new school safety grant. The state legislature allocates $20 million a year to school districts around the state to improve their safety priorities in their schools. The DOE allows districts to do 3 priorities, so you would choose your top 3 priorities for your district as far as safety and school hardening and stuff like that. And they cap that at $1 million per district. Last year, I think we got 55,000, which we're trying to spend right now before the 30th. So that's why we've been going around schools right now we did one today, we got one tomorrow, I think one Monday. To get that one. And then I believe one of the slots next year, if we can't do the elementary school, will be the elementary school. And that's due September 1st is when that's due. All right, any questions? All right, thank y'all.
If there's nothing else, no other issues or things anyone wants to bring up, and we've concluded our agenda and time for adjournment, I'll entertain motions to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Ah.
All right. Short and sweet. Thank you. Thank everybody for attending. Thank you.